How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, thanks, Becky. So we're doing this on Tuesday morning. How was your weekend?
Uh, Not too eventful, self-isolating and all that stuff, but
Yeah,
took the dogs out for a walk and enjoyed the nice weather.
let's talk about your dog. You have a dog.
I have two
You have
and a
two
cat.
dogs and two dogs and a cat. Okay,
Yeah.
what are their names?
The cat's name is Hudson. He is, I think, 6, and then Link is 4. He's a Blue Heeler German Shepherd mix. He's a rescue, and then our new dog we just got like a few weeks ago. We renamed her Navi, and she's a Jack Russell Chihuahua mix.
Mavi and
And
Link.
she's also a rescue. Yeah, like the Legend of Zelda. I have my Zelda cup and everything.
Yeah. Where did you get Link and Mavi?
Link came from London Animal Care Centre, right in London. They're the city-run, like wildlife, and they take care of dogs and cats and all that stuff. So they do a lot of animal control in the city. So that's where Link came from. We got him, he was a year and a month old when we got him, and they suspected abuse and neglect, and they said that he was adopted several times during the summer they had him in return because people thought he was aggressive, but he's not. He's a big love bug. And then Navi I got from my sister.
How does that happen?
I don't know. He's such a big suck. He gives us kisses every morning, and he's just like the most adventurous dog. And it's just, I find a lot of people might just misinterpret aggressiveness and thinking that maybe the high energy is aggressiveness, or they're not giving them that output for them to get that energy out. So the dog they might become a little more challenging, but they're no way aggressive. Some people just don't quite grasp that, I think.
Yeah, I see that a lot.
Yeah. Oh, I have a bee right beside me.
Nice.
Yeah, there's bees in my patio. But then Navi came from my sister-in-law. She recently went through a breakup, and both of them are too busy by themselves to keep her, so we took her in. But her being a rescue before my sister-in-law, I guess the couple that had her were in a not good state in the relationship, and the dog apparently got hit and kicked and stuff like that. So Navi had a rough first year of her life, and then my sister-in-law took her in, and then we got her.
Amazing. How did you find the process with getting Link?
Actually, funny story. I thought the process would be, my expectation was to fill out paperwork and then maybe have an interview. They check out your apartment and make sure that it's a livable situation for the dog. But I actually was working at the time, and I was working with somebody I support, and she wanted to go see some dogs in different shelters. So that's what we did for the day, because I support people with disabilities. And the lady I was with asked to go to LACC, and they said they had one dog, and if we want to walk him, we could. And when we did, we walked him. I fell in love with him right away. And then I asked them, oh, what's the process? And they're like, you could take him home today. He is taken to you so well that we've never seen him be so connected with somebody before. And then I just filled out the paperwork and brought him home with me that day. Well, actually, I brought him to work with me first, and then I brought him home.
That's amazing. So
yeah.
What was the time frame from when you filled out the application to bringing Link home?
Like literally less than 30 minutes. Yeah, the lady I support, she's like, you do it, bring him over. The lady I was supporting was like so happy I was getting a dog, and she's like, let's go to the dog store, we'll get him some stuff. And she was just so excited. So the lady I supported was supporting me at that time, and just like totally encouraging me to get a dog.
That's amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you have you got into dog walking. You got that into 2019, last year?
Last year. Yep, September 2019 I just started.
Okay. And let me see here. So how did you go about starting that? What got you into dog walking?
So when we got Link a few years ago, my boyfriend Riley and I had been just talking, about dogs and things that would be great for dogs, just because this was our first dog together. Both of us grew up with dogs all our life, and I was like, you know what would be really great? It's just indoor dog parks, because I've been looking at them all across Canada and the US, and there's not many in Canada, which I was really surprised.
There isn't.
And I thought that maybe in southwestern Ontario it would be a great hub for it, because there's so many cities down here and so much people, to have an indoor dog park, because there's people in apartments, there's seniors that might not be able to get to the dog parks, there's, you know, some people might want to go somewhere that's more climate controlled and all that stuff. So we were just thinking about that. And then when I was working at my old job, I was just looking for kind of a change. I had been there already for 5 years. And so I thought, maybe supporting people, it's for me, but at the same time, I wanted to try something new. So I tried the school board and didn't like it at all. And then with that being said, the school board, I went with them from January until the end of the school year in June or whenever it is, last year. And then I had the summer off. So I took the summer to kind of do research about indoor dog parks, and then thought, where can I start with this? And I figured dog walking would be a great start to, you know, get into my ultimate dream of opening an indoor dog park. So the dog walking is just kind of my basis of getting that professional background and just learning about dogs, learning about what people want. So that's kind of what my journey was, figuring out how to start dog walking and how to get into the dog professional world.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, I hear you with the dog park, indoor dog park stuff. We actually we briefly discussed this ahead of time, but we had myself and another teammate. We had aggressively targeted a few locations for an indoor dog park in Scarborough, and we had 2 different leases fall apart just at the closing tail end of it, and they were both would have been nice places. I can't believe there was a bowling alley that we almost had, an old bowling alley. It was all ripped up in the base, so you couldn't, like, it wasn't usable. You had to clean it up. And it was funny, the landlord, I don't know what was going on. He was asking for $4,000 a month. And I had to sign with his realtor an offer, so that it was a real ordeal to get the offer out to him. And I offered $3,800 a month for 5 years. I thought that was like reasonable.
It sounds reasonable.
Like, it wasn't like lowballing by any means, I didn't think. But his counter was 43. And I'm like, but you were asking for 4. So I think I just took that as he didn't want me there. I can't, I don't see how else you could take that. But so I thought that was really odd. And it was at the tail end, because I'd seen the place twice by then. I'd spoken to the landlord. He said he was okay with everything. So that was weird. That was going to be 6,000 square feet. That was going to be amazing, I thought. And then another situation where we had a 5,000 square foot place. It was just a box, and it was a warehouse. And the person, they wanted the lease to be a sublease from a master lease. And I need to see the master lease. And so the master lease stipulated no animals. But the person that I was working with said, yeah, you're allowed to have your dogs there. And I'm like, well, the master lease says no animals. So kind of makes me think that there's, no animals. And they wouldn't take that out. And so that fell apart at the very end. And so we did find a place, but it's, a much significantly smaller place, and it's more for traditional daycare than an indoor dog park, like what you're talking about. So I'd like to know, what is your vision? What did you want to include in a dog park? Because I know that you just told me recently some good news. I'm assuming it's not the same size that you were initially targeting, but maybe it is. What is it that you want to kind of do, and maybe get into what you actually got into just now?
Yeah. So just to start with the kind of now process, the location I got is at the Hive. It's not an everyday location. They rent it out by the hour, and it's limited time frames. But they're pretty open to the idea, and they really want me to succeed in my whole indoor dog park journey. So the place is called the Hive, and they have this garage. It's beautiful. It's all glass windows. The garage doors open up. If they open up, I would have to figure out some sort of fencing, but looks like it could fit like maybe 3-4 cars. So it's perfect for like small play groups. It's not really an indoor dog park per se, but it's a good start and a good opportunity to kind of test the idea. But from there, like what I want to grow it into, maybe in 10, 20 years, the ultimate dream would be to have like a huge indoor dog park facility, to have like a dog park on the main floor, maybe have an upper mezzanine. I can't say that word. Mezzanine. Yeah. With like maybe like dog shopping areas with like groomers, dog stores, local vendors, all that kind of stuff. It would be great to have like just like a one-stop place for just dog stuff and people who are passionate about their dogs. Maybe even information about like agility courses, classes, all that kind of thing. And then I'd love to be able to grow it into something that like has an indoor and outdoor space. And the outdoor space could have like maybe a doggy splash pad, have like small dog section, big dog section. And being a developmental services worker, I want to be able to hire people with disabilities, have it fully accessible. I want it to be accessible to be able to maybe have like a bus that can help people come to the dog park with their dogs, like seniors who might not be able to drive or get there on their own, people with disabilities who have their dogs, all that kind of thing. And then one of the bigger things I want to do is also have the dog park closed a couple times a week for just service dogs. One of the big things I've run into is that service dogs actually can't go to dog parks to play because it's too much of a risk. It costs tens of thousands of dollars to train and care and keep service dogs up to date with everything to ensure that they can do their work. So going to dog parks and, socialization kind of things for dogs that normal dogs would do isn't in the game for service dogs at all. So I would love to be able to close it down just for service dogs, to be able to have like time for them to just be service dog or just be dogs and not be working and have their time off, and maybe have volunteers there to help those people supported to maybe just like have their hour break without their dog, and maybe have a little cafe there so they can sit and have their coffee while volunteers can help with their dogs. So it's just having it accessible and just have a big space for dogs to play and chill and maybe celebrate dog birthdays and adoption days and all that kind of thing. So I mean, it's a long running plan, and I'm sure I'll have to start small and build up for something like that, especially since funding is really hard. I literally don't have much money saved for it, but my whole goal is I was going to fundraise to kind of start off with a smaller space and build up from there.
Have you considered soliciting for like other people's funds, like, or crowdfunding?
Yeah, I tried GoFundMe a couple times, but like I had it up for a couple of months and zero interest. And then I tried again this year and zero interest. So my whole thing I was going to do is, oh, sorry, my neighbor's dog is coming and barking. Anyways, there's a pub in London that I was connecting with before this whole pandemic.
Yep.
Called the Dog House. And the Dog House is a great pub. They're all about dogs there. And they have like dog pictures all over their walls and stuff, so they would be like the perfect location to do some sort of fundraiser. And we were in the talks to do trivia nights, to do fundraising. We were supposed to plan that for this summer, but that's not going to happen now. So I've been in touch with pub stumpers to potentially still do like at-home trivia nights, and do it over Zoom like we are, and like hosting like a trivia night. But I'm still trying to figure out how to kind of organize that. It's a little difficult not doing it in person.
Right. Do you know how much money you think you need to raise in order to kind of kick this whole thing off?
On a small scale budget, maybe about $15,000. But if I'm able to acquire like a larger space, then maybe like $20,000 to $25,000.
Does that include rent or just to get it open?
No, it would include like your staples like rent, marketing, just renovations that might need to be done. I started a business plan last summer, and it has like, I have a whole list of things that I would need. Like I want some maybe safe agility style play equipment for dogs, and not necessarily for agility, but just for people to maybe like, oh, maybe my dog will do this. Maybe they'll jump over the bar or something. Just for people to have something fun to have, or maybe like have like a little pool with balls in it or something, just like fun things to have for dogs. So yeah, renovation. I would need to make sure that I have like waste management, connect with the City of London to be able to have waste management come, because of course you need to have like specific removal of waste, like a specific permit for that, because it is dog feces and all that. One of the other things would be just like cleaning products would be huge, because I want to make sure that it's like standards are high. I want to make sure that everything's clean, and I want to do everything by the book. Accountants, maybe. I'm trying to do as much as I can on my own to save cost as much as I can. But I would probably need some help, because I'm not good with numbers, so I'm good with people. That's why I support people. So.
So what did you plan? What was your plan for waste management?
Yeah, so I figured London has quite a number of outdoor dog parks, and they're quite large. Like, we traveled across to the East Coast, and we've never seen any other dog parks bigger than what we have. They were all quite small otherwise, but the dog parks here, they have like their huge bins that you just stick the waste in, and the City of London comes and removes it. But because it is feces, it would be like, I think, biohazard kind of type thing. So I would connect with the City of London to discuss that and see what kind of permits I might need, if I need the same kind of bins that the outdoor dog parks have, or if just generally just throwing it in a bin like normal household waste would be fine, because you normally would do that anyways at home. So I'm not sure how that would really work, but I was talking with the City of London about different aspects of the dog park, like permits and zoning is a big issue and all that kind of stuff. So the city has been really helpful, but we hadn't quite got to the waste management aspect.
So, okay. So what about the flooring of the dog parks itself? So urine and the feces were you thinking of just a basic floor and then just mop it up, pick it up, mop it? Or was there some other process?
Yeah, so it depends on the kind of building that I'm able to get. So if I can't find something with drainage right on the flooring, then I would have to do something like the rubberized flooring mats that they use in warehouses, because they are easy clean. They spill in warehouses like oil and gasoline and other stuff from machinery and whatnot. So they must be easy to clean with like the rubberized flooring.
So the sun was coming down on your iPad and it was overheating it?
Yeah, so I'm on my patio, I'm facing south, and the sun is just starting to get to like where I'm sitting, and I didn't realize that it was just hitting my iPad on the back of it, because it's not like the sun's not right in front of me right now. It's not showing on my table.
Yeah.
Like, it's all shadowy right where I am, but it was just starting to like creep onto my iPad, and it got overheated, I guess. So I didn't realize it was doing that.
You thought I was grilling you too much, so you're like, I'm out.
Yeah, bye. No, just kidding.
This waste management stuff is not for me.
No.
That's cool. So, okay, great. So you've got this awesome dream about an indoor park, and you've been actually engaging with the city, and you've been thinking of all the waste management, you're thinking of all the other things. What about...
We were talking about flooring.
And flooring, yeah. I mean, we're talking about flooring and how there's definitely types of flooring that you can use to clean all that up. But that's kind of, I guess, the strategy is you're not going to create a raised flooring that has waste kind of funnel underneath and clean all that. It's more like just basically a type of flooring that you can mop up waste.
Just start with, if I could find a building that has like the drainage underneath, that would be ideal, because I would like to have rubberized flooring for the most part. Yeah. But near the drainage, I would like to make these little, like, with 2x4s, and then put astroturf on the inside, and then have it to be removable so I could pressure hose it and then have it drain underneath. But it depends on like the building, the drainage, and if they would allow me to hose it down into the drainage, because like urine and all that, like cleaning products, it needs to be able to go through that, through the drainage. So it depends on what the building owner would be able to approve or not. But that would be kind of the ideal situation, because then I can make little like small platforms where there's grass, so dogs can go to the washroom in those areas, and they're more likely to go there because that's normally what they do on like outside.
Yeah.
On grass, and then I could just set it up to make it like a more natural little area, and then the rest of it would be rubberized flooring where I could just easily just clean it up. The rubberized flooring also is, I want to get the ones where they connect together like puzzle pieces, so that if one section gets ruined, it'll be so easy to replace rather than having to replace all the flooring. So the jigsaw puzzle type flooring also would be good to, like at nighttime when I don't have dogs anymore, I could just stick the rubberized flooring outside and pressure hose it that way, and then put them back in the morning after it dries. So it would just be so much easier to have like flooring that comes in and out anyways. And that way it's just easier to maintain. You could keep it clean. If one section gets really destroyed one day, I could like bleach it or something, and then like replace it with a separate piece and let the other piece kind of get washed and cleaned and put away at that point. So it just seems like it seems like a lot of work, but it would be a much more cleaner and easier process.
Most people don't realize, and I wouldn't have until I got into this industry, is that urine is way more difficult to clean up than feces. It's dog poo is like pretty easy. Just pick it up and wipe it. And the urine can go places. It's and spread around in crevices that I'm talking about normal poo, not diarrhea or running, because you'll get that too sometimes.
Yeah.
But
you never know, because when dogs get running around, they get stuff moving on the inside, so you don't know what kind of feces they'll get.
You don't know what you're going to get. Have you thought about, or have you included in your plan the idea of renting out space to dog walkers?
Yeah, actually, so I would like to have it offered as rental spaces as well, depending on the times of day. During the daytime, most people will be at work, so renting it out to dog walkers or giving discounts to dog walkers would be great to have. And then I also want to rent it out to dog trainers. If I do have the proper drainage, I want to have like a separate room that I could offer to groomers just starting that and want to trial their businesses. I want to rent it out to like people who want to do doggy birthday parties and all sorts of stuff. But I definitely want to support the dog walking community as a whole, because London has a great dog walking community. Everybody's so supportive. There was even a point where I was working for Puppy Love London even after I started my business, because she wanted to help me out and help teach me more about dog walking and all that stuff. So
yeah, that's amazing. So your dog walking company is called Unleashed LDN.
London, yeah. Unleashed London and London short form LDN.
But I mean, like, if you're going to find you on YouTube, it's can I find you if I type in, he's funny, it doesn't matter what platform I'm on, if I'm searching for something, I call it Googling. Unreal.
Googling. It's become such a big part of our life.
I know, but if I search for Unleashed London, I'm going to get you, or do I have to type in LDN?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I registered through Google Business and Yelp and all that, all the different business platforms as Unleashed London LDN. But I've never actually searched London as a whole. I think there might be a company in like the UK that's Unleashed London, like London, like the full word. So I'm not sure.
What's your website address?
It's not up yet. My website is being built right now by Sly Fox Web Design in London. But my website will be unleashedlondon.ca, I think. That's what I bought. Yeah.
So how are clients finding you right now? Do you have a Facebook page or anything on social?
Yeah. It's all social media based right now. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Like I said, I registered through Google Business and Yelp. So I have all those platforms kind of up and running. YouTube is very, very new. I'm still learning how to do video editing and stuff. So it's very, very new. It's a slow process, but I'm trying to get more regular content up and on all my platforms.
That's cool. Yeah, I want to get into your YouTube channel just in a little bit, but before, just talking about you starting up, because you started up relatively new, and my previous guest, 2 guests ago, Dan, he and I talked about if we were to start a new company again, all over, I don't know how relevant websites are, and it sounds like you don't even have a website. You're going to have one, but like it's the last priority. What what had you come to that like decision?
So the website was kind of a last priority, just mostly because of financing. I think that a lot of people lean towards social media platforms because it's so much more cost effective. You can have your business pages for free and you have the choice to pay for advertising or not. Word of mouth is probably the best kind of advertising out there, and it's just so much better. But my website, the ultimate goal with the website is I'm actually trading dog walks for my website to be paid for. so my dog walking, I'm dog walking for the guy that's creating my website, and then his mom and dad actually own their company, and he's a web developer, and so it's really like they're a great family run business, and they just kind of put it out there that they were looking for a dog walker, and I was like, well, I need a website, so I will totally walk your dog. So it was just a great opportunity for me to just even get a website, even though it wasn't on the top of my list. And then the website will be just for the people who, because I find younger generations lean towards social media platforms, but older generations lean towards more for websites, just because that's just kind of how internet evolved over time, and just a lot of families and maybe seniors and people who might be in the older generations more likely are to use the website than social media platforms, just because that's how internet works, I guess. So I just want to be able to cater to all people.
It's funny because I mean, I know what life is like before the internet, and like, so I was in grade 10 when the internet became a thing. And there's a lot of people that, and most clients, most people that have disposable income, the ability to pay for dog walking, that is the situation for them as well. However, we're now moving into an area where people, they didn't really, the internet came to them when they were in grade 5, and they have disposable income. And so that's more and more people are, and the reason why that's important is because just the technology driven folks, if you're thinking about, I've been contemplating, do we have our clients, do we leave notes for our clients, or do we have our dog walkers enter the notes in the system, and the clients can look at it when they're at work? They can, in real time, they can see the note, they can see when they got dropped off. But there's a significant number of clients who that wouldn't even apply to, because they only want to see notebooks. But that's always an older demographic, a demographic that didn't grow up with only technology. And like my 5-year-old boys, they are like, they know how to open a laptop and open up Chrome browser and get to a website and play their math games and whatever puzzle games the teacher wants. And to me, like to me, that's just astounding that like the kids are not going to have any idea how to exist and behave without internet technology. And I think
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah. Oh, you're cutting out.
So you're cutting out, not me.
Oh, there you are. Okay, it cut out for a second. Is it me? Oh, I don't know. It was your video that was
I have no idea.
On my end.
I'm
not sure.
Probably me. I'm just playing.
I actually grew up in Northern Ontario, and I look young, but I'm 31, and I grew up with the bunny ears on my TV. I had no internet. We literally had 2 channels growing up. And like, I grew up with very, very basic technology. We had well water. We had to carry our water up to the house from the cow's well, because sometimes our well water would freeze or dry up depending on the season. And like, I've lived with very minimal technology, so it astounds me what kind of technology there is these days, and like the stuff kids can do too. It's amazing. But that being said, like, there's so many platforms that people need to utilize to build up their businesses, and I'm trying to make sure that I like hit all targets.
Yeah. And the more I always ask, whenever I do a meet and greet, I'm always asking, how did you find us? And more people are telling me it's very rare that people went through, like, they always go to the website to submit an inquiry, because that's how I've forced it that way, just because I want to simplify it for my limited brain. But more people find me through Facebook and Instagram than they do anywhere else. You recommend start social, like Facebook, Insta, and that's it?
Absolutely. Also, one of the things that I find a lot of people might not really think about doing, go to vendor events, go to vendor shows. It costs maybe $20 to $50 to get a table. You could set up a little sign, hand out business cards, maybe have swag. I personally was helping with a small business in London. It no longer exists, but a friend of mine had a business called Poulin, and she had baby stuff in a little store that she had, and then I would do her vendor events. And then last summer, just before she started kind of like slowing down a little more, I would go to the events and start handing out business cards when I knew I was going to start my business. So if you have a connection where you can help somebody and just be there, and they'll pay for the table for you to help them sell their stuff, and then you just hand out business cards, then that's still a good opportunity to get your face and name out there. And there's so much like events for dogs too. Like London has Palooza and Bark in the Park. Every spring is Bark in the Park, and every fall is Palooza, or end of summer, I guess, August. And Palooza is one of the biggest dog events in the year in all of, like, I think Ontario, maybe even Canada, and like tens of thousands of people show up with their dogs. And like, I was hoping to maybe connect with them this year to put my name out there, and they got canceled. But I had some other events that I was going to do this year, and just people need to think about those kind of face-to-face interactions will really help with marketing too.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of events in Toronto as well. I'm curious about, like, how is Toronto and London different? I mean, you mentioned there was a lot of dog parks, big dog parks. What are the limitations? Can you have 6 dogs at a time, like in Toronto?
So when I was doing my research last year, I found that a lot of the legalities and limitations are actually Ontario-wide. And the only big difference is that in Toronto, you need to purchase a permit to do dog walking, whereas most other places you don't have to pay for that. The like Canada-wide dog walking legal limit is 6 dogs, where I do see people out there with more than 6 dogs, but
No.
I mean, that's their choice, their prerogative, whatever. They can deal with whatever happens with that. I think they've been doing it for years and they can handle it, and it's great. But technically the legal limit is 6, and that's all across Canada from what I've read. But yeah, the only big difference is really you guys have to pay for like an actual permit to walk dogs, and everywhere else in Canada, I don't think you have to. Maybe Vancouver might be the only other place, but
I wasn't
because you're
so,
yeah, I think that it's just because it's such a big metropolitan area that it just kind of helps limit and regulate like kind of the whole industry, because it's such a huge place.
In order to get a permit, we also have to have insurance. Do you have insurance?
Yes, I do. Profer. Yeah. They're awesome.
Profer as well. So you have insurance, but you're not required to.
No, I'm not required to. But I want to make sure that like my business is like on every legality. Like I want to be cautious about everything I do and make sure I do it right. But you don't have to have insurance as a dog walker.
No, you don't have to, for sure. There's definitely pros and cons to everything. Frig. With dog walking insurance, I only see pros. Like, it's costs money, and that's the only con.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even that like a lot of money. If you do like 1 or 2 dog walks, you're already paying for your month of like insurance. So
Yeah.
it's so worth it to have that, even if you never end up using it. It's just, you never know what's going to happen.
You never know. We've had a retriever swallow whole a 2-foot rope toy, and
Oh my gosh.
like my wife's in the kitchen, and the dog is maybe 20 feet away, and she sees him start to swallow. And she comes over. By the time she's over there, like, I mean, really fast, she was over there, and the dog's already swallowed it. And we had to. It was like $7,000 surgery. How are you going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for that if you don't have insurance? And it, and so I don't know. I think anything can happen, and if you can mitigate risk, it would be unfortunate if you couldn't afford it, and then the client had to pay for it themselves. Obviously, that's going to leave a distaste with them, or they don't, or if no one can afford the surgery, that would be even worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you're going to take care of someone's dogs and expose them to risk, you should do your part to mitigate. But different strokes for different folks, I guess.
Thinking of dogs and potential risks, I am also pet first aid and CPR certified. I don't know if that's something that there's places in Toronto that offer that, but Golden Dog Opportunities in London offer pet first aid and CPR, and it's through, oh my gosh, I think it's called Pet Tech. They're an international company that does pet first aid too. Yep. But Golden Dogs Opportunity in London, they actually train service dogs, and the money for the pet first aid and CPR courses that they do, it's all volunteer based. Their trainers volunteer and teach this course to pet parents or dog walkers, and then the money goes towards retired service dogs that they have, so that they could go on to have a better life, or not a better life, but like a life after they're retired. So
yeah, we do pet first aid here as well, and all our dog walkers have to take it. And we go through a company called Dog Gone Right. Margaret runs that, and it's the pet first aid is, I find it so long. I have a hard time keeping my attention on anything past 50 minutes, and it's a day long train. How long's your training? Like the training we do is you come in at like 9 or 10, I think, and you're done at like 6 or 5, which is pretty
it's an 8-hour course. Yeah, but I think Golden Opportunities assistant dogs, I think they offered like a 2-day course where it's like 4 hours one day, 4 hours the next day, but I took the whole day. I also struggle with attention a lot. I just kind of sit there and I need to stand up and pace and whatever, but they were really good with small class sizes, and they were okay with me like needing to get up and stuff too. And they were really interactive. They had a couple of their service dogs there that are part of their volunteer team, which are very cute, and they're golden retrievers, and they let you do part of the CPR compressions you don't fully do on them, of course, because that could hurt them, but like all the rest of it, they let you just put on a splint on them and wrap them and bandage them. And so their course is really interactive with like real dogs.
That's so cool, because it happens a lot. Like you'll have to wrap up or stop bleeding, or there's always, I mean, basically the message is do what you can enough so that you can go take them to a vet. But but it's so important, the wrapping and the cleaning and being able to know. There's one time where we saw like a dog was didn't overheat. They had consumed some stuff, but when they were at the dog park, because of the heat, the combination didn't work well, and the gums were going gray. And if the dog, if we didn't take in that course, you wouldn't necessarily have known to touch the gums to see something's wrong, rush to the hospital, that kind of stuff. Like just, it's so valuable. I'm at the daycare. We've got we've got some folks coming through with another round of pups. That's all good. Okay, I want to move on to your YouTube. And so the YouTube channel is Unleashed London, but you spell it LDN. So for those that want to look at that, what inspired you to create a YouTube channel?
Mostly the pandemic. I got bored. But also because I found out that like it's not just about the money, but I know that you can monetize YouTube channels And it would be a great way to kind of have some passive income to be able to put towards the indoor dog park. It'll take a long time to get to that point, but it also gives me an opportunity to talk about my knowledge about dogs. I like the sitting here at home all the time with this pandemic, it just got me thinking a lot about like some of the stuff that I can share with people. I travel with my dogs all the time, and a lot of people I see post on Facebook like, oh, good kennels, or I don't think I can take my dog. And I'm like, you can take your dog with you. I know ways. It's okay. So I try to like give people advice that way. But I figured maybe doing YouTube videos about traveling with your dogs, or about dog walking, or about dog businesses, or even about the dog park, it'll be a good platform for me to just discuss with people on a larger scale about different advice about dogs. I'm no expert per se, but I'm slowly educating myself as I grow my business, and I want to be able to share that kind of knowledge with people who might not think that they could bring their dogs everywhere.
Yeah, because you've got some really interesting experience. I mean, East and West, all the way, both sides, and you've got experience with dogs doing that.
Yep. We took our dog Link to St. John, Newfoundland, and did the whole trip driving with him. We camped along the way, and it was like one of the best experiences we've ever had. It was great. And it was when we just had Link. We didn't have Navi at that point. So it was just one dog. So it'll be interesting to see what traveling will be like with two.
Yeah, traveling's a little interesting because you can't travel too far because public bathrooms aren't available, I find.
We actually went up north. I have an aunt who's palliative with cancer. So we actually did take a trip up north. We talked about it and agreed that it was an essential trip for us, and we would social distance as much as we can. And we still took our dog Link, and it was just before we got Navi. So we took our dog Link. Our friend had a camper trailer that they used for moose hunting, and they said that they hadn't really used it since last fall, so we could use it. They set it up with hot water, heat, and all that. So we didn't go in anyone's houses. We brought Link. He got to run around on their farm, and it was kind of an essential trip for us to go visit my aunt, because we don't know if we'll be able to see her after this pandemic, if she'll be around with us. So it's been really hard, but we did do a trip during the pandemic, and it's still doable with dogs. So, and it's just, since there's two of us though, it's a little easier, because I went in to see my aunt, and then Riley stayed with the dog. Since he knows my aunt, he's met her a few times, but he's only met her in our 4 years together like 2 or 3 times.
I looked at your YouTube channel consists of mostly happy go, really positive, bumpy vibes, really nice art in your videos, and then your last video has a different tone.
People are still either at home working, or it is too much of a risk, or they're working full time and have families involved helping them with their pets, which is great. That's amazing. But it is kind of a little bit of a struggle for us pet care providers, dog walkers, kennels, all that kind of thing. And we are out of work.
Like, you know, it's you're talking about mental health and kind of sharing your experiences. Like, what had you kind of you know, talk about that? Did you just have had enough? Did you know someone that's kind of suffering and struggling, or just wanted to share your life?
A little bit of all of it, actually. I know that it's been a struggle for a lot of people. I know of a lot of businesses that might be permanently gone just because of this pandemic.
Yeah.
My personal experiences going to visit my aunt and my papa in the nursing home, it was really, really difficult and an emotional time for me. And just, I'm still supporting people with disabilities, but right now I'm just a contractor doing community supports, and my supports right now are very limited. There's nothing going on in the community. So I know that it's been a struggle for people supported as well, because their whole lives got kind of turned upside down. A lot of people I support might have 4-hour-a-week jobs, but mostly have day programs that they go to every day, and all of that got canceled and shut down. So it just, a lot was on my mind about the people I support, about businesses that are struggling, about myself, because we were allowed to start dog walking and I still don't have clients yet.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are still at home or working from home, or still have family helping them, which is fine. Yeah. So I just wanted to talk about like the hard emotional part of this whole pandemic and the real life situations that people are going through. And I thought it was just really important to share that kind of thing with people, to let them know they're not alone.
Yeah, I thought it was great as well. And I think you kind of nailed it, not necessarily in your messaging and the content, but just in who you were being in that moment. You could tell that you're someone that generally is happy and positive, and you weren't overly negative by any means and depressing. It was just kind of real. And
so I could see your lips moving, but I can't hear you right now.
I don't know what to say about that. It's just the connection isn't. I don't know if it's Zoom. I'm using Zoom right now. That's okay. I don't know how it's going to look. I'm going to have to look at it after. But I don't. Look at them. That's good stuff.
They're crazy.
Do you have other YouTubers and podcasters that you're following?
My favorite is In Rough Company. She's actually a dog walker from Toronto, but she lives in Texas right now, and she seems really nice. I like her content. She talks about dog walking, the real life situations about dog walking, gives lots of great advice. But now she's working with, I think, a rescue in Texas and doing some university courses there. So she seems really nice. She'd be somebody I would love to be friends with in real life, but I've never really connected with her too much. But then there's Kiko Pup, I think. She talks about just dog training in general. She kind of puts it in really easy words to be able to understand how to train your dog. And then I've just lately been more into like videos about alternative living and living in vans and schoolies and travel things. So there's no like long list of things that I've really been into on YouTube. It's just mostly what they recommend. But for the most part, it's all dogs or all travel.
Another thing that we both read Stephen King. And
oh yes.
Have you ever seen a Stephen King movie?
Yeah. My sister is actually a huge Stephen King fanatic. I like more of his fantasy stuff. Like I think there's one called The Eye of the Dragon, and then the Dark Tower series. And then my sister has like a whole bookshelf of all of his stuff. So like otherwise, like movies and stuff, I've probably seen it mostly because of her. But and then the first time I went to college before I dropped out, I did a movie course. And they had us watch The Shining and kind of talk about that in a essay form and just kind of discuss it a little more detail because of the interesting aspect of mental health in that.
I feel the same way. I'm big fan of the Dark Tower series. I like the fantasy stuff. The horror stuff is not so bad, but it's not my favorite stuff with him. I like the mystery. Well, I found a lot of the movies that are based off of his books are just done poorly, and I'm disappointed. Did you watch the Gunslinger movie?
The Dark Tower? Yeah, it was awful. I did not approve. And they botched it so bad. Like it's barely even scratches the surface of the depth of the actual books and how good they are.
I know. But I knew that going into it. I saw the trailer. I'm like, I'm going to watch it, and I'm not going to be happy about it.
Yeah. It's like World War Z, even though that's not a Stephen King book. But World War Z, if you've ever read that book, the book kind of every chapter is almost like a short story about people surviving the zombie apocalypse. And then the movie is just about Brad Pitt being in the military in a zombie apocalypse. Or is it Brad Pitt? I might have that wrong.
It is Brad Pitt.
Yeah, okay. I'm bad with names. So Yeah, so like the movie is absolutely nothing to do with the book, even though they're like based on the book. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, I know. And so generally, Needful Things, horrible Stephen King movie, really fun book. Pet Cemetery, all that stuff. I guess that's back in early days, but anyway, that's good.
I love the
Um,
cheesiness of Pet Cemetery, the old school one.
I know you can't. Yeah, I know. Or Carrie. Carrie was kind of cheesy as well. Well, extremely
Yeah.
cheesy. But the books are like you can get like really right into it, and so I found the writing was okay, pretty good. Um, so anyways, where can people find you if someone wants to follow your indoor dog park project? Like, is there like a website or just simply following you on your YouTube channel or Facebook? Is that enough?
Yeah, so just my dog walking stuff, Unleashed London. Everything I do that is working towards the indoor dog park idea is all based on what I'm doing now as a dog walker.
Yeah.
So just as I'm building and evolving as much as I can with the business plan and business idea, I had hoped to do a couple of fundraisers this year to be able to get like a huge step forward. But since that's not happening, it might still take a few years to actually get to the point of having a physical location. But Jenna at the Hive, where I'm renting that garage space, she's really helping me out with potentially having a space in an area in London. I can't say too much about that just because mostly I don't know. But from there, like I'm really hoping that this garage space will be a good starting point, and then anything I do there, I'll be filming some content for YouTube, like as I do dog play groups, and kind of building up from there with social media and all that.
Amazing. Does the indoor dog park have a name? That project have a name, or is that Unleashed London?
I'm hoping it'll just be Unleashed London. The whole point of dog walking is just for the dog park. So I chose a business name that I could just stick to, because having dogs unleashed is something that you would do at a dog park. So, I mean, while I'm dog walking, they'll be on leash. They will have a leash on, but Unleashed London is just the whole thing is about the indoor dog park. So that's just what I'm sticking with, I guess. So
Okay, no, that's perfect. So they can follow you, following Unleashed London on any social platform, and they'll get you, and they can follow along with that project. I would love to have you back on again with hearing some updates on that project. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
thank you for having me. I'd be happy to come back on, and then maybe my dogs will be a little more behave, but they're kind of playing with me right now.
Perfect. They're being dogs.
Yeah. Oh
Okay,
my gosh.
perfect. Well, thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.